Hey guys, Maya here and welcome back to my channel. So as you saw in the title, TikTok has sent me to the ER. That is not clickbait, and it was actually a pretty serious procedure, so I'm going to explain the story to you guys. So I'm pretty new to story times. I've never actually done a story time on my channel, so I'm kind of excited to do this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you do enjoy this video, and let's just jump into the story. So a little background info. So I started doing TikTok July 4th of 2019, so it's almost been a year. And I was doing good. I'm just reached actually 2,000 subscribers. I haven't posted in probably about 3 months just because I want to upgrade my phone to upgrade the quality of the content. So I'm taking a hiatus on TikTok, and that's why I came back to YouTube, because I have the time to do this now. And then once I have my new phone, then I'm going to prioritize doing both. So when it came to TikTok content, I did cosplay, I did a couple art related things, but mainly it was cosplay. Cosplay has become a huge part of my life, and TikTok was my main form to kind of output that, other than posting photos on Instagram, which I'll have my TikTok and Instagram linked down below. So I was about 6 or 7 months into making content on TikTok, and I started upgrading my cosplays, certain costumes. I was getting better at styling wigs and all this other stuff. And I was also learning that I could use the wigs that I owned already to do for use that specific wig for multiple characters, and then just find stuff within my wardrobe that would work for that specific character. One of those cosplays that I made, technically a closet cosplay, using this wig, was Suichi from the Jinjo Ito collection. I'll have a picture right here of what he looks like. He's a very creepy looking character, and I really enjoyed doing that cosplay because you could do all the details of how I'd look in the manga, because there's a manga-esque style, even though there's also an anime for it. It's very creepy, and the wig worked perfect for this character. So I was filming a TikTok, and he's a creepy character, so I have creepy audio, and I'm doing creepy things. I had a hammer and a nail and all this other stuff just that went with his character, you know? So while filming a TikTok, and I actually have the recording of it, which I'll play in a second, but basically there was a sewing needle stuck in my rug. So, and I sew all the time. I make tons of different cosplays. So it's not out of the norm for a needle to fall on the ground, but how the needle was positioned, this is the rug, and it was pointing up like this, and in my specific TikTok I had to slide my foot forward kind of, and this is going to get a little graphic, so if you guys don't like graphic things, then I apologize. Just skip ahead a minute or so. Basically what ended up happening with this needle, it went like this into my foot, but because it hit the bone, it broke in half, so a piece was stuck out, just fell on the ground, and the other piece got wedged in between the two bones in my foot. When it first happened, I was like, ow, that hurt like hell, but I didn't realize that the needle was in my foot at this point. I knew I was pricked by a needle, and I knew my foot hurt really, really bad, but I found one piece of the needle on the ground, so I just presumed it broke in half, and the other piece must have been stuck in my rug somewhere. So my parents were upstairs, their friends were over, and they were having a couple drinks. I'm in full cosplay in my room, too embarrassed to go upstairs because my parents' friends are here, and I just didn't want to. So I messaged my younger sister on Messenger. I tell her, go get Ashley, that's my stepdad, and I'm tell him to come downstairs because it's an emergency. So my stepdad then ends up coming down being like, what's the matter, what's the matter? I'm I think I have a needle in my foot. And he's touching my foot, and we couldn't feel it from the outside, because it was so it was stuck in there really good. So we couldn't feel anything from the outside, so we just presumed it wasn't there. I soaked my foot in some water to see if maybe it would slide out if it was there, but we really didn't know. And the next day was my Aunt Pam's wedding, and my stepdad and my mom were part of the wedding party. So it's one of those things where if I had to go to the hospital the next day, I'd be going by myself. So I wake up the next morning, and this is where it hurt so bad. By this point, my foot is swollen because there is a foreign object within my foot. And this is where I really know that it's there because I could feel it rubbing against my bones. And so I went upstairs, told my mom, like, okay, the needle is in my foot. I will go to the hospital tomorrow to get it removed. And she's like, no, you are going right now. So it was like 7 in the morning, and my stepdad drops me off at the hospital because they had to be with the wedding party to get ready for the wedding by 8 o'clock. So I'm sitting there by myself in the waiting room. I explained to the receptionist, there's a needle stuck in my foot. I think there's a needle stuck in my foot because, I wasn't 100%. A part of me also thought that maybe the needle hit because it was an embroidery needle. It wasn't just like a typical needle. It was a really, really thick needle. So I thought maybe it chipped my bone or something. So they're like, okay, we'll do some x-rays and we'll see what we can do. So I'm probably about in the waiting room for 45 minutes, and now I'm in like agonizing pain. People can tell, to the point where I wasn't able to walk. They had to wheel me in on a wheelchair. They had to have nurses and whatnot help me, boost me up onto the bed when it came to doing x-rays and whatnot. And the needle was there. So after they do the x-ray, I get sent into just like a private room, and the emergency room doctor comes in, and he's like, okay, just check the x-ray. I should be able to get it. I'm just gonna slice here. So he gives me freezing in my foot, and he cuts a spot. And he's digging, and he's digging, and he's digging. Couldn't find it. Then he's like, okay, I'm gonna go look back at the x-ray, because he had just took a glimpse at the x-ray and presumed that where he was going was how he would be able to get it, which was not the case. He cut in the wrong spot. So after him now cutting into a new spot in my foot, he dug again for about another like half an hour, 45 minutes, and then he's like, okay, we're gonna get the surgeon in and we're gonna bring you to a separate room. So this is where I was like, oh god. I'm like, because I expected this just to be quick, easy, maybe a couple stitches, and then I can go to the wedding type of thing. So I'm just like, oh god, am I gonna make it to the wedding? What's gonna happen? That was like the thing that was on my mind the most. So now I'm waiting in this like room, waiting on the surgeon to basically show up, check out my foot. My foot is completely cut open, and I'm laying on my stomach at this point. I have photos, which I will display here because I was super bored, so I was just taking photos. And the doctor finally comes in. He's looking at the already opened incisions within my foot, which by this point it was about 2.5 inches like long wise. And he's like, I can't see nothing. So then they had to bring in a nurse to then put my foot on a live screen x-ray, so while they were doing it they'd be able to look at this x-ray. So I'm laying on my stomach, and because the procedure is taking so long, and I didn't want any anesthetic because, again, I expected myself to go into this wedding, they kept on having to give me freezing. So as soon as I would start feeling anything sharp, they told me, so if like I started feeling the needles or any tools, then I would have to literally be like, I need more freezing, and then they would give me more freezing. So they have the x-ray thing, and they're probably working on my foot for about 2.5 hours, and I'm awake this whole time. I'm checking my phone every once in a while. I'm laying on my stomach, just them digging at my foot. I made the mistake of, so I turned back, so I'm laying on my stomach forward. Behind me was, like, so this would be the screen, the x-ray screen that the nurse and the doctor were looking at, so I looked at that. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look too bad. Like, you can see, like, the prongs holding my foot open, and you can see the tool inside my foot, and it doesn't look that bad because it's an x-ray. So I'm like, oh, I'm curious. I'm going to look at my foot. So I go like this, and I looked at my foot. Biggest regret. It's the weirdest thing to see your foot completely open, and you see everything in your foot, parts of your foot removed and whatnot, but not feel it. Super weird. That's all I'm gonna say. So basically, after now it's been about like 3 hours, and the surgeon's like, we might have to keep you overnight because we can't get this out, but we have one last chance. The bone specialist is in the hospital right now. They just finished doing a procedure. We can get him to come in quickly and see what he can do. So this bone specialist comes in, running shoes, track pants, and just like a baggy sweater. Like, it looks like he just like came out of a gym or something. And he's like, okay, let's check out this foot. He's like, they kept on asking me what type of material the needle was made out of. I had no clue, so they even tried like using magnets and everything. And luckily, this bone specialist, he was like, okay, because he knows how, he's not like, obviously they have some knowledge in like how the muscles and all that in my foot work, but this guy knows everything about the bones, how if you move this around and move that around, then you can get in this spot and like that type of stuff. So like he's a specialist for it. And it was probably about 45 minutes in, and he got the needle out. And the first thing he says, because the whole time too I was joking around, so like I was like, because I was going to a wedding after this, I'm like, so I'm gonna guess that I'm not supposed to be dancing tonight or whatever. And he's like, do you want to keep the needle? And I said, yeah, and I still have it. So again, I'm gonna give a little warning if you don't like gross looking objects. But basically October 21st, 2019 is when this happened. And this is rusted obviously because it's old. But in here, that is the needle that was stuck in my foot. He put it in a jar for me to keep. I don't know, it's a cool story, I guess. And because of this needle and me filming that specific TikTok, I was in crutches for, they said it would be 4 weeks. I was in crutches for 2 months. I have no longer, because of the first doctor, the first emergency doctor, which people told me I should like take him to court or whatever, which I'm not going to do. But basically, because he cut in the wrong spot and because he dug and he was so rough with my foot, my 2 end toes, so my baby toe, like I don't want to show my feet, but basically my baby toe and my toe next to it are completely paralyzed, have no feeling, and I am no longer able to move them. The stitches, it go from what would be like the top of my toes here, almost halfway down my foot. It healed quite nicely, surprisingly. I'll show you pictures of when I first got stitches. But yeah, that's the time that TikTok sent me to the ER. That's how cosplay sent me to the ER. And after it too, everyone was like, because I'm going to college to be for fashion arts. I'm going to make clothing, to make cosplay, like that's what I want to do. I want to sew, that is my vibe. And everyone's like, oh, you're probably not going to sew after this because you're so traumatized or whatever. Literally the day after, because I ended up going to the wedding. I missed the ceremony, but I was there for the reception. But the day after, I was sewing a cosplay. Even like while my foot was hurt, I was filming TikToks and getting into cosplay, but I was stuck sitting on my bed because I wasn't able to stand on my foot. I wasn't supposed to put a certain amount of pressure onto even like my ankle or lower leg because it could cause the stitches to split, because all that fun stuff. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I normally don't do story times because I feel like they're kind of boring, but sometimes people want to hear what happened in the story. So yeah. Alright, but thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button down below to be notified when I post videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, bye guys.